But good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session on Humanities and Social Sciences, Recruiting and Networking. My name is Kelly Round, and I am the career coach for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences within the LSU and Career Center. Please make sure that you keep your microphones on mute and you have your video hidden for the duration of today's workshop. Should you have questions during the session, please use the chat feature to send a message. Make sure you send it to everyone so that the group will benefit from your questions as well. And we will do our best to answer questions during this session. If your question does not get answered, please let us know by contacting us at the end of the event. For the best session experience, please select Speaker View in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Please note that this session is being recorded. Now it is my honor to introduce our speaker, Dr. Troy Blanchard, Dean of the LSU College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Thank you, Dean Blanchard, and I will turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody being here today. I know that I've had a couple of little internet hiccups. So Kelly, if you notice that something's like I'm talking and nobody can hear me, please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. But I'm so glad to be here with everybody today. I wanted to start out and tell you a little bit about the college. Just so you have sort of a full understanding about how LSU's organized and who's in our college and what some of our core values are. And then I think after that, I'd really like to just open it up to questions, any questions or things that you'd like to learn more about the college. Of course, we'll get all those answered. And, I will start off by saying that one of the important hallmarks of our college is that we have our own, and we're very proud to say we have our own career coach for the college, and that's Miss Kelly Round, who just got finished introducing me. But if there's anybody in the room that deserves applause, it is her. She does a fantastic job working with all of our students, and I can tell you that much like it warms my heart to be able to tell you that we have a career coach just for our majors, the parents of our majors feel exactly the same way. It's the first thing that I tell the parents when I meet them is that we have a career coach for our college. And they are immediately fascinated by that because they don't generally imagine that we would have a career coach just for majors in our college. So it's really, it's a real privilege for us to have that and a fantastic resource for our students. Our students start working with our career coach more or less from the day they get here at LSU. So I know many of you are familiar with the Stephen Covey line, begin with the end in mind. I try to think about the destination before you start the journey. But at any rate, you know the general theme, which is we try to think about the outcome before we engage in the process. And so that is something we emphasize from day one with all of our students. And so our students major in just a wide variety of degree programs. We have so many to choose from, but it is the traditional ones that you're very familiar with. Everybody in here likely took classes in these areas. It's English, history. Many of us take foreign languages. So it's all the foreign languages. Also, we have a Department of French because in Louisiana, the Department of French will tell you that they're a native language, not a foreign language. So we have just a ton. Anthropology. We also have the traditional social sciences like political science, sociology, geography, anthropology. So that is essentially who we are. We also have some really unique departments. We have basically LSU's speech pathology department is part of our college. It's the Department of Communication Science Disorders. And so we have that department. So it's a wide range from professional programs like that, along with our clinical psychology program, to our more traditional programs that you're probably more familiar with, which would be like a bachelor's degree in sociology. So to tell you just a quick bit about me, I'm a 3-time alum from LSU. And I grew up in Baton Rouge. I worked my way through LSU at Cortana Mall. So for those of you that have driven by the now defunct Cortana Mall, that's where I worked when I was in college, and I sold cell phones and pagers throughout my college experience. And I can tell you that the intersection of my sales experience with my degree program in sociology is really sort of what positioned me to be here in front of you today. So I'm a 3-time alum from LSU. I got my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in sociology. and was a professor at Mississippi State for a bit and had a chance to come back to LSU, which of course is the probably the greatest privilege of all, is to get to be a professor at the place that you're got your degree program from. So it is truly an honor to be here with you today. It's also an incredible honor to be dean of our college. Our college is the second largest on LSU's campus, and likely soon to be the largest on our campus. We'll be welcoming somewhere between 900 to 1,000 freshman majors in the fall semester. So we are very large. We also have a lot of students that start in other colleges on campus and then transfer to humanities and social sciences, primarily because we have a lot of very flexible degree programs. One of the most flexible degree programs we have is our bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies, which allows students to match 3 minors together to create a degree program that provides them with sort of access to courses that get them very energized and very excited, and at the same time allows them to craft sort of a brand and a career for themselves out of that. So, for example, one of our most popular combinations is students will do a minor in business, communication studies, and sociology, so that the business experience, they learn how to communicate, which I think we would all agree in this room is probably one of the most important things, especially for somebody just in their first year in the workforce. Communication is almost everything. And then sociology, which, really starts to get at the core of our college, which is the understanding of people. What makes me excited about the future for all of our students is that understanding of people and the understanding of human beings is one of the core things that I really don't think is going to disappear in the next 40 years. I think our students who are graduating today have an enormous opportunity ahead of them, as we develop artificial intelligence technologies. Understanding people and knowing how to program good decisions based on our understanding of people is critical, and that's what our students do. So it's not surprising when you hear about one of our former former student who majored in history and is now a chief marketing officer for Facebook. Those are the trajectories that our students go on. They're not always a linear trajectory. Our students likely are going to change job many times while they're here, but the thing that they'll carry with them is those real core skills in terms of communication, in terms of research and problem solving. Those are things that translate almost to any job. So we're enormously proud of that. And so I guess along those lines, we start at the beginning with these students. They work with Kelly early on. We have a class that they can take in their second semester at LSU called HS 1001, which is what we inside kind of call our curriculum to career class. Other times we just call it a careers class, but it's a class, a 1-hour class. They get matched up with a mentor, one of the faculty members on campus, and just have an opportunity to start thinking about what that first job might look like. And they do that very early in the process, because our philosophy is that if they have a good freshman year and they're able to really make it through and get a good foundation, those next 3 years go by really, really quickly and pretty smoothly for them. And so we try to do a lot in freshman year just to set them up, and then they launch and take off and do great things. Just this past weekend, we had an opportunity to welcome a group of students in a program that we run called the Pre-Scholars Academy. And this is a program for students who go through sort of a provisional admissions process, and they have sort of a 3-week, for lack of a better term, it's almost like a boot camp kind of program that they go through to get ready for LSU and to get ready for that research environment. And so we brought in a couple of alums to talk to them. And there was one alum in particular this year who I have to say really exemplified so much of what we do in our college. And some of y'all may have met her. Her name is Anita Byrne, and she's with SSA Associates, with the consulting firm. She's a partner there. And she told her story about being a double major in history and political science. She started out working in the restaurant industry and eventually got into management, transitioned to management consulting. and now she's a partner with SSA, which is a very large company in town. They have a big impact all over the world. They're working with lots of different governments and organizations and companies. Again, that's the type of student that is coming out of our college. They have enormous flexibility, but they also have those really core skills that are going to be very important, especially early in their career. So, with that, that's I guess a brief introduction to who we are and what we do. I'm just I'm going through here thinking about what other aspects of our college that we have that's important. I mean, one of the things that we did start for this year that I do want to let you know about is our majors this year. I talked a little bit about the Bachelor's of Interdisciplinary Studies program. And one of the things this year our students have the opportunity to do is we've created some concentrations that allow students to focus in some areas that LSU traditionally has not had programming in. So, for example, we have a concentration in organizational dynamics, public policy advocacy, and also in urban and regional planning. So that gives our students, again, that's some examples of some interdisciplinary programming they're able to do to create a degree that fits really their interest and where their energy and love is. So with that, I think that's sort of the general introduction to our college. Kelly, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add to that, or if we just open it up for questions.
Thank you, Dean Blanchard. Yeah, as he mentioned, by being the career coach embedded within the college, I'm able to meet with students at every phase of the process. And so really before they even start at LSU, I play a role in the recruiting efforts and attending all of those events to start having career conversations with our incoming students and their families. And so that's been really rewarding, being able to showcase the versatility of an HSS degree, because typically there isn't a linear pathway. And so being able to engage in those conversations and really assess the student's values, interest, personality, and skill set, and how that can accompany their HSS degree into fulfilling careers that are tailored to the individual themselves. And so as the career coach, students are able to schedule one-on-one career coaching appointments with me. And so as we're exploring, what they can do with their major, or maybe they're looking for ways to start gaining experience. And that's what's so critical and important by creating relationships with employers and all of you, is that we're able to know about different opportunities where students can get great experience and be exposed to different industries. And so by being in such a large senior college, there's a wide variety of career interests and goals. And so I'm excited to hear from all of you, just what you all are needing and ways that we can connect you with our students. Especially as I meet one-on-one with students and they're asking about a certain industry or have specific information, that's where I'm able to say, hey, we were able to connect with this person at our employer drive-in event, or we have these existing relationships with these wonderful employers and people coming to campus, and I think it would be worth reaching out to them. And so really, I'm able to bridge sort of that connection between our employer side, but also the students themselves. And so by getting in touch with students, there's a couple different ways. One, by attending our events and showcasing your wonderful opportunities, posting those different jobs and opportunities in Handshake is a great starting point. But there are opportunities to meet with students in their student organization meetings, and that can vary throughout the semester when those student groups are meeting together. For example, I've met with the psychology club or our communication studies, in various student organizations on campus. So that's a great starting point of being able to start having these career conversations with students. Also, the unique piece of having a career-specific course, I think with it being in the early stages of creation, this would be a neat way to incorporate more employer integration into those courses. And so if there's ways that we can showcase different industries or maybe involve all of you in different capacities to talk about professionalism and launching into career and that transition from college to career, I think there's lots of different opportunities that we can really incorporate the employer side with our student piece. And so we're just really grateful for all of you and just your interest in our students, because they are very eager, they are looking for opportunities, and they are wonderful future employees as well. And so with that, I want to turn it over to all of you. Dean Blanchard and I are here to answer any questions, hear maybe strategies that have worked for you in the past, things that you would like to hopefully do in the future, but we will open up the floor to all of you.
You know, what one thing that I would add, in addition to questions, we do also, and I very much welcome any advice that you have that we can give our students, or strategies that you think maybe higher ed is not employing, that it really needs to consider to do a better job to prepare our students for the labor force. So we're also very open to those ideas as well. That's why I love being able to come to these events, because I'm able to get a perspective that's a little different than when you're just working with, you know, faculty and students. So um, anything along those lines. So I do see we have a question about where we find a list of the career specific classes. And, you know, I have, you know, in our college, we can certainly get that for you. It's really one in particular that we have right now. And I realize there may be some other senior colleges on campus that have a class like that, but ours is HSS 1001. And if if you can leave your contact info, we could get you maybe a sample syllabus or something if you'd like to see what's being done in that class. And again, I also welcome feedback from each and every one of you that you may have, because we're looking to improve and always do the best job by our students to serve them and position them to be successful when they come work with you. Okay, Kelly, so we have a question there about trends regarding interest in specific fields and careers. Would you like to take that? You want to start there? Because I think we both probably have some things to add. So,
Yeah, I think any specific trends, I think as Dean Blanchard was mentioning with our new interdisciplinary studies sort of minors and concentrations, those are some industries that are definitely of interest in regards to organizational leadership, urban planning, kind of those different facets, but also it really just varies from department to department. So I know we have a lot of students that are interested in service learning opportunities, you know, different opportunities and office cultures, and, you know, whether that could be technology based, human focused, it really does just vary. So I don't have any specific fields or careers in mind. I just know that our students are very adaptable and flexible, and they would like to pursue different opportunities.
no, and I think the only thing I would add there is just, you know, I'm a data person. So looking at the data that we have on majors and what students choose in our college when they're coming in as freshmen, we have a lot of students that choose psychology. So psychology is a very popular major, which I think is probably something that's very much aligned with a lot that goes on in business, especially with sales. You know, as a sociology major, I think I learned so much about sales after I took my sociology classes. I wish I could have gone back and done more. So I think that's definitely a trend. You know, in general, students coming in, I think about the top 5 majors we typically see are psychology, political science, sociology. We see English, we see history, and we see philosophy. Those are some of the really common ones. The thing that's important to keep in mind is that while there obviously are variations in some of the core classes, many of the electives that they take are very much are going to be very similar. And of course, they have a foundation of courses, you know, in writing and speech communication and math that are, you know, are uniform across the board. So I think that would probably be my best observation there. Let's see. And I think, Kelly, we have a second question. Is that?
Yes, so communication disorders, undergrad students are always looking for a variety of ways to get involved in applicable fields leading up to grad school. How can employers market these types of opportunities to specific students? I can mention, whether that would be partnering with the communication disorder student organization. So they have NISHLA, which usually meets every month. And so they'll bring in either graduate programs or professionals to speak about their experiences and ways to gain tangible experience and skills leading up to those graduate programs. And so that would be a great way to kind of see opportunities that students are looking for. And so that's a great starting point, but also our department chairs and faculty and professors are also wonderful resources. And I'm happy to provide information and people that I'm in contact with regarding the different departments, especially since students have developed relationships with these faculty members and staff members. They're going to be great champions in regards to career opportunities and passing along information. Also, in the Career Center standpoint, we can pass things along through handshake or communication, email opportunities, those sorts of things. So definitely reach out if you're trying to find ways to market a specific opportunity to certain students, or potentially host a virtual workshop, or, as we're planning for the fall semester, I think there's a lot of ways that we can get information across through a virtual platform, or even in person, depending upon what's feasible for everyone. But I think, finding those key student groups and those key faculty and staff members will be really helpful. And that's a big part of my role as well, is to help put you in place with those people.
Yeah, I'd also add to that on a more general point. One of the top questions that we get at our recruits, we're always getting questions about internships. Students are just immensely aware of internships and the importance of that. And, I'm really excited because the handshake platform that we have really makes that so much easier on the students. And so, making sure that you're utilizing that is great, because there are students out there that are very interested in internships. We also have, in almost all of our departments, there is actually an internship class they can sign up for, so they get the course credit for the internship. And there's an internship director there who sort of checks in with the students to make sure things are going okay. So almost all of our students have that as an opportunity for course credit. They're looking for a match. And I know for many of those internship directors, it's like everything else, they have sort of the usual customers that come back every time, but they are very, very excited to learn about new opportunities and any new organizations that are interested in, hosting an internship student. That's something that's very welcome, because our students use those. And, I have to say, just, one of the biggest trends that I've observed over the past 5 years has really been just the students are aware, but the students always bring at least one or two adults with them. It could be a neighbor, a friend, a family member, a parent, who knows. But those adults want to know about careers. And so Kelly attends every one of our recruiting events for that very reason, because we're able to introduce that person to the career coach their student's going to be working with. So they're very attuned to that. They're always thinking about that. So, if there's any internship opportunities that you have, that's we can accommodate that. Absolutely.
And also in a non-formal setting, like internships would be great and those types of things. But if there's ways to maybe set up informational interviews with any other staff members in your company or organization, I think just ways that students can start exploring different careers early on will be really beneficial. And so we've found that a lot of students want to hear about, the company culture and the type of work that you're doing. And so we've held events in the past where we've done careers on the go, where we visited local companies and focus on different areas of career fields. And a lot of our HSS students attend those because they have a wide variety of career goals. And so any ways that we can be creative in showcasing the organization that you're a part of, whether that's just what does a normal day look like, maybe you want to set up a panel event where students can learn about kind of different facets of that specific organization. I think especially in this digital platform, there's lots of opportunities to do that, to engage with even more people than before. And so that's something that I think will be great going forward, of just connecting our students in a greater capacity to your specific organization.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's really interesting with the current environment that we're in, because all of our student advising right now has essentially been virtual since March of this year. And students have adapted very quickly to that. And that ability to do virtual events, I think, is something that's welcome. And I think that we're probably gradually moving to a place that there could be some real preference for that, because students are able just to do so much more, because they can line up a virtual event, and then 2 minutes later they can be in a class. And so there's so much, they have more flexibility. And it's been a really interesting transition in our student services, just watching how those preferences have changed. And so it also reduces sort of the overhead in having those events, and the overhead of meeting somebody, and to be able to have a visit with them. So it's definitely, it'll be very interesting a year from now, if we could imagine a year from now all having this discussion again, sharing everything that we've learned. It's going to be an interesting time.
Any other questions? We welcome all questions.
I would add something just additionally for those of you that have an interest in this. I've had a lot of discussions with colleagues, just various people, about students' preferences, because they've had so much of an opportunity to do college online from this semester. And they have parents at home that are working remotely, how that's going to shape their expectations and their preferences. One of the things that I've seen that's been really fascinating is that in talking with the students, they are very much concerned about having an in-person presence. And there's some services that they really do prefer to be virtual, because it's just that much more efficient, but they really do place a premium on the in-person component. And so that's been interesting, because as a sociologist, we study all various aspects of organizations and work, and it's been interesting to think through how this would affect long-term labor force patterns. And from what I've seen so far in talking with students, they appreciate some of the aspects of virtual visits, but I think for some of the work itself, though, they really do, I think, value that in-person experience, because that question comes up a lot about what's virtual and what's in person. And it's been fascinating.
Well, if we don't have any more questions for the larger group, Dean Blanchard and I are happy to stick around. If you have any specific organization questions that you would like to ask, instead of asking in front of the large group, you are welcome to do so. But with that, thank you all so much for attending our session. We are very grateful for your partnership. And as I mentioned, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to create a relationship between our students and with your organization's needs. And so we're happy to partner and create organization-specific recruitment efforts.
Yeah, and I wanted to just jump in for anybody that considering jumping off or staying on. We've got the next session won't begin until I think 12:45. So we do have a little bit of time for, you know, a lunch break for anybody that's ready to grab some lunch. So that's also a possibility during this time. But as Kelly and, you know, Dean Blanchard have mentioned, they are more than willing to stick around and answer those specific questions, you know, even on a one-on-one basis. So feel free to chime in. I wanted to jump in and just say thank you to you, Dean Blanchard, so much for carving out some time for us today on this very busy schedule, especially as we're all getting ready for Welcome Week next week. But we really appreciate you. And I saw somebody just chimed in on the chat, so I'm going to be quiet and let y'all do it. But I just wanted to say that. So thank y'all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kyle.
Kyle.
Appreciate it.
Yes, I know Bill has a specific question regarding the Peace Corps. Bill, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, hi to the both of you and to anybody else that's on the call. I think this is as close as I'm going to be getting to seeing you face to face this semester. Yeah, my question was that very often students with humanities and social sciences degrees do not think they're viable for Peace Corps service, when in fact the bulk of our volunteers and some of our most effective volunteers come with humanities and social sciences degrees. I was asking if you have any insights on how to overcome this misconception with students. This is something that I've encountered pretty much from the beginning of stepping into this role about a year ago. And frankly, I am looking forward to reaching out to students in the main campus, because my predecessors worked primarily with Honors College, Ag Center, and the law school, but overlooked the vast majority of your students.
No, absolutely. You know, Bill, I have a question for you. I'm kind of curious. How is recruiting for Peace Corps going? Because we're in an interesting time, and I don't know how it affects Peace Corps enrollments. Because in some ways, you know, international travel is something that's become, you know, for us, like, for example, we weren't able to do anything with study abroad, obviously, for this year. And you know, that is something that, you know, does make our college a good fit for something like Peace Corps, and that we have a lot of students that do like to travel. They do like to work in different environments. And so I think it makes for a bit of a natural fit. How is it going? How is that looking right now? I'm really curious.
Okay, well, from recruitment side, and forgive me, I'm a little scruffy today, but from recruitment,
okay. We're glad to have you here. This is great.
3 months ago, 4 months ago, I was putting on a work shirt every day. Now it's like, forget it. Anyway.
Bill, if I could only tell you the things I've seen, if I could tell you the things that I've seen behind people, because we've been doing recruiting. We've done recruiting events with hundreds of people, and I'll flip through and I'll watch these students, and you'll see their little, you know, 1-year-old brother come walking across with a saggy diaper, you know. Yeah. It's hysterical. So no, hey, you're great. You're in top business attire, man. You're in good shape. So
I'm gonna let them know I'm in Chicago in the regional office when we talk.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, for the recruitment side, it remained business as usual. We were still actively engaging with anyone who approached us about serving. I'm sure you're aware that we brought all of our volunteers home several months ago. And we have been in the process of developing individual country-specific return plans. There's not a lot of hard information still, but from where we were several months ago to where we are today, and my view of the situation is that we will be returning to specific countries probably within the first of next year. We've actually gotten the word that a couple of countries have already met the benchmarks as far as the new safety protocols, how everything is going to change. But the agency made a decision that regardless, we would not be refielding volunteers this year. So that being said, again, I'm if you'd asked me the same question a month ago, my answer would have been, we're probably not going to start going back until 6 months into next year. So the timeline has shifted a little bit. It could still change, but that's, my current view of things. All right, not based on any special knowledge that I have. Because everything has been pushed, frankly, when I talk to someone who is considering applying, say today, I would tell them that, in the past it was you could count on deploying 6 to 9 months after you applied, assuming you were invited to serve. I'm now telling people that we're looking 9 to 15 months. All right, and my sense of things is it's going to be maybe as long as 2 years before we return to all 61 countries that we were serving in. And it's going to be, as you would imagine, in the beginning, it's going to be a trickle, and then there's going to be a lot of countries or a larger number that open up within, months of each other, and then it'll taper off again till the last ones come back online. So, but, we are interviewing again because that was paused. We are looking to fill specific positions in anticipation of the January through March deployment 2021. So again, we're coming back. One of the great pieces of news is that all of the countries that we had missions to have confirmed that we will be going back. No one said, well, geez, guys, because of we're just not going to have the money anymore. We won't be able to afford this. Every country said Peace Corps is in our budget and will remain there. So that's a very comforting feeling.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I just, and Kelly, you're going to have your own, I think, unique perspective on this one. I don't know. I mean, it's something where I think I'd like to go talk to some of those departments and just ask, is there any sort of narrative in your department, or when you hear students talking, how is there any discussion that, because it may be sort of an awareness, raising it as an awareness, because I started LSU in 91. And so I was very familiar with Peace Corps, but at the same time, I was also surrounded by people, my parents and aunts and uncles who all were, of it to where they were very aware of the Peace Corps. And so it was something they knew about. For some of these students, I don't know where they're at. Kelly, have you gathered anything on that? I mean, it's just an interesting question to me. As far as the awareness factor goes, I guess.
That is something that is coming across a lot of the schools. I'm responsible for Louisiana and southern Mississippi, south of Hattiesburg. Most of my schools are what they call tier 3s. A lot of small schools, with LSU Baton Rouge and University of Southern Mississippi Hattiesburg being my mega campuses, if you will. But right. Even on the mega campuses, the awareness of Peace Corps is low. What's actually sometimes of greater concern to me are the misconceptions that go along with the low awareness. I may be dating myself here, but I'm actually older than the Peace Corps. So, because I was born in 57 and Peace Corps wasn't founded until 61. So it's been a part of my life forever. But when you're talking, to a Gen Z, they're like, well, yeah, I think my grandparents said something about it.
Right. And well, that's it. No, because I had several teachers in high school that had served in the Peace Corps. In fact, one of them told me the story about getting the Peace Corps letter. He was riding his motorcycle and he was reading his Peace Corps letter and didn't have, was riding hands-free. So that would have been worse.
We're not allowed to ride motorcycles
and driving. Right now. But anyway, he was doing that. And he drove his cycle and he was so excited because he gotten into. So anyway, funny, but I mean, that sticks with, that's what I think. Like when I think of Peace Corps, I think about those teachers. I mean, I was just surrounded by people, and I think you may be onto it. I don't know how, that's something I think we need to see what we can do to raise the awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. I think talking to the different department chairs and being able to start passing along information and maybe even doing a session like you mentioned of sort of debunking those Peace Corps myths or highlighting specifically why a College of Humanities Social Sciences student would be a great fit for that. And so I'd be curious to hear kind of like those barriers that you've heard in conversations in the past and how we could go about shifting that mindset for our students.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, the good news is that I actually put together an info session series that
great.
addresses some of those questions. I mean, the first series is, Peace Corps 101. But then another one is devoted to, is my degree right for service? Can I afford to serve? Because people think, they hear that word volunteer and they automatically think this is either free or I'm going to actually have to pay for it. So the sessions are doing that, and I'm actually working with Kyle and his colleagues to schedule the sessions for the campus. But the other avenue through career services, but the other avenue is through the venue of class talks. And that one is, my instinct on this is still, it's a little bit problematic because this is the first time that a really thought out program is going to be launched. I mean, last year we reacted to the pandemic change. This year, everyone has spent their summer and the months working out a new plan. And I'm very reluctant to insert myself into classrooms, asking to be able to do, like a 15-minute class talk. So, but may I honestly ask your sense of this? If you think that this is something that your faculty colleagues might consider?
I have to tell you, I think this is the time to do it because, I mean, I'll just tell you at LSU, I mean, there's a lot of classes that are 100% online.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of classes that are hybrid, that where there's going to be a live component, but then at the same time, it'll be live streamed. And so I think the technological barrier or the perceived sort of weirdness of having a virtual teleconferencey kind of speaker is probably way past us at this point. And I think people would probably love to have somebody that could come in virtually to their classroom. So I think there's some opportunities there. I think some of it though is just dissemination and just talking about it. What is Peace Corps? What, just kind of getting that out there. But, I think about like our anthropology students. I mean, those students some of them are already doing trips where they're going to Central America for archaeological
Mm-hmm.
digs. I mean, and all the study abroad students. And so, they're students that are no stranger to international travel. And so, and on top of that, I also think there's probably, sorry.
No. I was going to say, and there's a lot of students in Louisiana, well, actually all over the country, that have never traveled. But that's not necessarily a barrier, for us. Because of the way we look at applicants, it's not just the fact, since most people haven't had overseas exposure, we don't make it a bar that they have to jump over. So, but not to get into the minutia of what my job is, because that's not why we're here. I'm encouraged by your response that this might not be viewed as an intrusion on my part. Okay, and and again, I sat in on the student panel in the session before, and they had some really good insights. One of the biggest takeaway being it's got to be interactive. We have a ton of what I call canned presentations where, push the start button, it plays, but no time for Q&A. You know, I'm a return Peace Corps volunteer myself, and half of my, you know, basis is that I can speak firsthand of the experience. And I think that's critical, especially when you're trying to dispel the misconceptions. So, okay, I'm going to start thinking of how I can put this little bit of mischief together. And you will be hearing from me.
Awesome.
No, but you know, Bill, I mean, to your point though about the interactive component of this, I mean, in our recruiting that we're doing for our own college, you know, we've done recruiting events with 5 people, you know, and I just show up and we, you know, and they log into Zoom and I say, hey, and give them a little, you know, give them a couple of minutes of, you know, this and that, answer some questions. And, you know, so,
Yeah.
I think you might have some takers and you might have the ability to reach way more people than it would have been 2 years ago. You know, I really think
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
opportunities there.
well, forgive me, but you're a Louisiana native, right? A Louisianian, right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
down. All right. So, you know, everyone knew as soon as I tried to pronounce Nacogdoches as Natchitoches, everybody knew I was a stranger. Okay. But this is a place where, you know, I was very, very concerned about how things are going to happen, because here people still need to shake you by the hand and look you in the eye and check out the cologne you're wearing to find out if you're speaking truth. And I was wondering, like, how am I going to now overcome this in a virtual world? But you're right, everyone has sort of adjusted to the new reality. But I still feel it's very critical to speak at that level, you know. So I will also bear that in mind. And the student comments in the panel reflected this as well. So, okay. All right. I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
there are people on this call, but evidently I don't want to monopolize all of your remaining time for my particular things, but thank you for it.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you being here. It means a lot. Thank you.
You know, there is so
great.
much talent on your campus, and you know, if I am going out again to serve, but I've been out for about 10 years now, and I was tired of living out of my duffel bag. But if I can't do it myself, I want to send good people, and you got a lot of good talent on your campus.
Well,
So,
thank you for saying that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're very fortunate. We have some great students. We are really fortunate.
yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. So, okay, well, super. Hey, again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
You're welcome.
Great meeting. No.
You'll be seeing me again.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Ciao.
Take it easy. Have a good
Bye-bye.
rest of your day.
We have about 10 minutes left. Looks like we have a couple left on the call if there's any remaining questions. All right, well then I think that concludes our session today. Thank you again, Dean Blanchard. We are so grateful for you being here today and talking more about the college. And thank you all to the rest of the group. And this session is now ending. And as Kyle mentioned before, the next session will get started around 12:45. So you have a couple of minutes before the next session.